in just 45 short minutes. Written by Elham Ghoreishi.
Three adventurers venture into the desert, seeking thrills, only to find themselves ensnared by a series of unforeseen and gripping events.
In the scorched heart of the Yazd Desert, where autumn days blazed like a fevered dream, our expedition unfolded. A pulsating dance between danger and fascination. The desert, a canvas of mystique, whispered secrets in the wind, drawing me in like a moth to flame. A rugged desert jeep, a relic passed down from my cousin, became our steed, its metal frame vibrating with the echoes of distant sandstorms. Embracing the desert's enigmatic allure, I plunged into the abyss of shifting sands, where the world fell away, leaving only the vast emptiness and the hushed secrets of starlit nights. Each step through the dunes was a communion with solitude, a communion with the universe itself. The nights, swathed in the brilliance of 1,000 constellations, seemed to hold the secrets of ancient civilizations and cosmic wonders, echoing in the profound silence that enveloped us like a shroud. Yet, amid the tranquility, a primal fear gnawed at the edges of my consciousness. The fear of being swallowed whole by the very desert that enchanted me. It was this fear, this palpable danger, that lent our journey an electrifying fervor. The days seared with unrelenting heat, scalding our skin, while the nights cloaked us in a bone-chilling cold that seemed to seep into our very souls. Every sensation, every whisper of the wind, carried the essence of the desert's wild spirit, making our hearts race with exhilaration. A memory, etched in the sands of time, resurfaced. A previous visit to this desolate realm, a prelude to meeting Dina. She, a kindred spirit yet a stranger to the desert's allure, stood beside me now. Unlike me, she had tasted the desert's harsh embrace, guided by the hands of her friends. But this time, it was my insistence that propelled her into this perilous odyssey, an expedition that blurred the lines between thrill and terror. In our company was Adam, an Australian adventurer whose spirit mirrored the untamed vastness of the desert. Together, the three of us embarked on a journey where the boundaries between reality and nightmare melted away, leaving us at the mercy of the Yazd Desert's capricious whims. In its harsh embrace, we found not only fear, but also a raw, untamed beauty that defied description. A beauty that would haunt our dreams long after we had left the unforgiving sands behind. The sun had barely clawed its way above the horizon when we fled the concrete clutches of Yazd City, a hasty escape that aimed to outrun the dawn. Our desert-bound journey, marked by the eerie silence of pre-dawn hours, was a desperate bid to outrun the encroaching day. As the orange hues of the rising sun painted the vast expanse of the sky, our destination, the first shelter, beckoned us like a mirage on the distant horizon. We rumbled down the unforgiving path carved into the desert's skin, our vehicle an iron beast navigating the treacherous terrain. The dirt road beneath us, though hard, was far from forgiving. With each bump, it seemed to whisper tales of long-forgotten wanderers, swallowed whole by the merciless desert. 20 minutes. It was a whisper of time, a heartbeat in the grand scheme of the universe. But in our world, it was the countdown to the sanctuary we sought, the promise of momentary respite from the unrelenting sun. We clung to that countdown like a lifeline, hoping against hope that the shelter would offer shade and solace. Yet fate, that fickle mistress, had other plans. A sudden jolt rocked our metal chariot, a guttural hiss filled the air, and dread settled over us like a heavy shroud. The front tire on the driver's side, our tether to the world beyond the desert's desolation, had fallen victim to the sharp claws of fate. We were marooned in the heart of the desert, the unforgiving landscape stretching endlessly in all directions, a harsh reminder of our vulnerability in the face of nature's wrath. In that moment, the desert, once a canvas of adventure, transformed into a menacing entity, its silence now a taunting whisper, mocking our predicament. The sun, now a fiery orb in the sky, beat down upon us, intensifying our isolation. We were trapped, not just by the flat tire, but by the cruel hands of circumstance. Dina and I scrambled out of the vehicle, our feet sinking into the unforgiving desert sand. The air hung heavy with tension, a palpable sense of unease lurking just beneath the surface. But it was Adam, with a voice that pierced the silence like a gunshot, who shattered the fragile calm. As soon as he leaped from the car, an agonizing cry erupted from his lips. Our hearts pounded in unison as we raced toward him, the desolate landscape seemingly conspiring against us. Our eyes widened in horror as we took in the scene before us. A viper, sinister and native to this unforgiving terrain, slithered away from Adam's trembling feet. It became painfully clear that Adam had unwittingly disturbed a malevolent force of nature. His ill-fated jump had landed him atop a seemingly innocuous bush, beneath which we had sought refuge for the night. Little did we know that the sinister serpent had taken refuge there as well. In a gruesome twist of fate, the venomous creature had struck with lightning speed, its venomous fangs sinking deep into the flesh of Adam's ankle. A chilling dread crept over us, the realization that our expedition had just taken a nightmarish turn. The desert, it seemed, held more horrors than we had ever dared to imagine, and the viper's venomous bite was just the beginning of a harrowing ordeal that would test the limits of our courage and resilience. Amidst the merciless grip of agony, Adam's anguished groans pierced the air like a dissonant symphony. My shock at the situation held me momentarily frozen, an icy shiver coursing down my spine. But it was Dina, swift and determined, who sprang into action. With deft hands and a handkerchief, she swiftly fashioned an impromptu tourniquet, cinching it tightly around Adam's leg to stem the insidious flow of blood. Her eyes met mine, reflecting both fear and determination as she took charge of the dire situation. I scurried to the first aid box, my hands trembling as I fumbled to retrieve the antidote we had so carefully packed for emergencies like this. My fingers finally found the small vial, a tiny glimmer of hope in the face of mounting despair. As I approached Adam, I did my best to reassure him, my voice wavering only slightly as I promised him relief. Yet, in the midst of our struggle against the venom coursing through Adam's veins, a new shadow of panic loomed. Dina, normally unshakable, suddenly abandoned her post by Adam's side and darted towards the rear of the vehicle, her movements frantic and erratic. My voice, tinged with urgency, called out to her as I sought to understand the source of her alarm. "Dina, what's wrong?" I implored, my own anxiety now reaching a fevered pitch. Dina's reply, however, came in a panicked crescendo, a chilling revelation that struck like a thunderbolt. "We have the medicine, but we forgot the syringe." In that harrowing moment, the gravity of our predicament bore down upon us like a heavy shroud. The antidote, our beacon of hope, lay within reach, but without the means to administer it, it was little more than a cruel taunt. We were adrift in a nightmarish scenario, caught between the venomous fangs of the desert and the abyss of our own helplessness. My eyes, wide with disbelief and dread, locked onto Dina's in a furious stare. "Weren't you responsible for checking all the necessary travel equipment?" My words, sharp as a dagger's edge, lashed out in anger, a futile attempt to mask the mounting fear that clawed at my insides. Dina's response was a bitter mix of frustration and accusation. "I noticed yesterday that we were lacking a syringe. I bought it from the pharmacy," she retorted, her voice sharp with reproach. "I handed you the shopping bag personally, told you to put it in the car, but as usual you didn't pay attention. This, my dear, is your fault, not mine." Our words, heavy with blame and frustration, hung in the stifling desert air like a curse. The argument, a tempest of emotions fueled by fear, was quickly stifled by a sound that cut through the tension like a ghostly whisper. A moan, weak and filled with pain, escaping Adam's lips. The realization of our dire circumstances crashed over us like a tidal wave, rendering our quarrel petty and inconsequential. Adam's suffering became the focal point, a stark reminder of the pressing issue at hand. My hands, trembling with a mixture of anger and helplessness, ran through my hair, tugging at the strands in sheer frustration. What should we do now? The question, laden with desperation, hung in the air, unanswered and haunting. Adam's voice, quivering with a mix of anguish and frustration, shattered the oppressive silence of the desert. So I'm going to die in this damn desert? His words hung in the scorching air, each syllable dripping with the raw terror of the inevitable. Dina, the cool-headed one among us, countered swiftly. We have 45 minutes to get that antidote into your system, Adam. It's barely a 20-minute drive to the residence from here. Hope, fragile and elusive, clung to her words like a lifeline. But in the cruel twist of fate that seemed to govern our desperate situation, a chilling realization washed over us like an icy tide. The flat tire, the relentless nemesis that had initially marooned us in this unforgiving wasteland, was still very much a part of our nightmarish reality. Dina's voice, fraught with urgency, cut through the sweltering heat. Try to make a call, reach out for help, she implored. With trembling hands, I fumbled for my phone, desperately searching for a signal amidst the desolate landscape. As my fingers danced across the screen, hope dwindled like a dying ember. No signal, I muttered, my heart sinking with every failed attempt to make an emergency call. It seemed the desert, with its relentless grip on our fate, had severed our connection to the outside world. There was no room for hesitation. I bolted towards the spare tire with a newfound determination, fueled by the desperate need to change it swiftly. The unforgiving sun bore down upon me, sweat mingling with dust as I worked with fevered intensity. Each moment was a heartbeat closer to Adam's fate, and a haunting specter of his impending demise loomed over us like a malevolent shadow. Believe it or not, as I struggled to raise the car with the jack, the unforgiving desert seemed to unleash a malevolent force upon us. A force that, like some cruel puppeteer, sought to thwart our every move. As the jack bore the weight of our hopes and fears, it splintered and cracked under the immense pressure. The sound of metal against metal, an agonizing screech, filled the air, echoing through the barren landscape. My heart sank as I watched in disbelief, realizing that our lifeline, too, had been severed by the desert's relentless grip. The sense of helplessness, once a distant specter, now enveloped us like a suffocating shroud. In the midst of the arid expanse, our hope dwindled like a dying ember, and the realization dawned upon us that the desert was not merely a place of physical trials, but a realm where the very laws of nature seemed to conspire against our survival. With the broken jack at my feet, I stood there, a witness to the harsh reality that our battle against the desert was far from over. Adam's deteriorating condition cast a shadow over us, a relentless specter of dread that grew with every passing moment. Dina's voice, a quiver of desperation, cut through the heavy air. How fast can we move with a flat tire? She implored, her eyes reflecting the urgency of the situation. I didn't respond, for the truth was harsh and unforgiving. There was no choice but to push the boundaries of our own limitations. We had to push that vehicle to its limits, racing against the inexorable tide of time. It was a gamble, a desperate bid to outpace the encroaching darkness. We had no alternative, no magic solution hidden in the folds of the unforgiving desert. Our destiny lay in the hands of the relentless sands, in our own unwavering resolve, and in our ability to defy the odds. As we hurtled forward with a flat tire, the echoes of uncertainty reverberated through the arid landscape, where every moment was a battle, and every decision could mean the difference between life and an unspeakable, desert-swallowed fate. We piled into the car, the metallic beast of burden that now bore the weight of our fears. The engine roared to life, and with a flat tire scraping the unforgiving desert floor, we ventured forth into a nightmare. Adam's condition, once a nagging concern, was now a relentless shadow, darkening our every thought. His suffering intensified with each passing moment, a grim reminder of the ominous countdown that hung over us. The longer the antidote remained elusive, the more insidious its effects would become, eroding Adam's internal organs like a malevolent specter. Silence enveloped us, thick and suffocating, punctuated only by the stifled moans of our stricken companion. Dina and I were silent, our hearts heavy with dread, as I focused every ounce of my being on maneuvering the wretched vehicle through the desolate terrain. The desert, with its relentless cruelty, bore witness to our desperate journey. The stark contrast between the adventure we had embarked upon and the torment we now faced was a chilling testament to the capriciousness of fate. As I steered the car with grim determination, the horizon ahead seemed an eternity away, an elusive sanctuary that teased us with its distant promise. In the hushed confines of our metal chariot, the weight of our collective terror bore down upon us, a suffocating embrace that threatened to consume us whole. The desert, once a canvas of mystique and adventure, had transformed into a relentless abyss where survival was a battle waged against time itself and hope, a flickering flame in danger of being snuffed out by the unyielding night. Memories of that fateful night when Dinah, Adam, and I first crossed paths are etched in my mind like haunting graffiti on the walls of a long-abandoned building. It was a moonlit evening, a full moon casting its silvery glow upon a tranquil Thai beach where the promise of adventure and the allure of the unknown beckon. We found ourselves amidst a full moon party, a celebration of life and joy, where the air was thick with the scent of euphoria and the laughter of revelers echoed like a distant, haunting melody. The night brimmed with pleasant sensations, as if the universe itself had conspired to bring us together in this moment of serendipity. Dinah and I, swept up in the excitement, had won a ticket to Thailand through sheer chance. A stroke of luck that had brought us to this exotic land. But it was Adam, a man of enigmatic charm and a hint of mystery, who joined our circle that night. He regaled us with a tale as intriguing as the moonlight that bathed us in its ethereal glow. Adam confessed that he had been drawn to Thailand not once, but twice in the span of a year. The first time a tumultuous summer had conspired against him, causing a curious mishap with a reputable airline company. The chaos of overcrowded flights had led to an inadvertent error. A sale of more tickets than the plane's capacity could accommodate. Fate, it seemed, had conspired to delay Adam's journey, postponing it to the following day. But in a twist of fate that could only be described as eerie, the airline, in an effort to atone for their blunder, offered Adam a peculiar form of recompense. An extra return ticket, valid for an entire year. A ticket that would grant him passage to Thailand once more, free of charge 11 months later. It was this fortuitous twist of destiny that had orchestrated our encounter on that moonlit night. 3 souls, each touched by the enigmatic hand of fate, converged on a beach bathed in silvery moonlight, where the lines between chance and destiny blurred like shadows in the shifting sand. And as we reveled in the mysteries of that night, none of us could have foreseen the chilling and surreal odyssey that would soon beckon us, as we were drawn deeper into the web of fate's inexorable design. In the aftermath of that peculiar encounter beneath the moonlit Thai sky, an unspoken pact was forged between Dinah, Adam, and me. The inexplicable bond we shared, nurtured by the peculiar circumstances of our meeting, compelled us to embark on further journeys together. Yet it was Adam, the enigmatic soul among us, who proposed the most audacious adventure of all, a sojourn into the merciless embrace of the desert. The proposal hung in the air like an ominous premonition, a question that begged an answer. What could have driven this seemingly ordinary man to willingly tread the treacherous path toward the desert's heart, where the very essence of mortality was tested against the sands of time? What dark, unknown force whispered in his ear, urging him toward the desolate expanse of death and solitude? Questions festered, coiling like serpents in the corners of our minds, as we followed Adam into the belly of the beast. His eyes, tinged with a hint of madness and a touch of resignation, seemed to hold secrets that defied explanation. The desert, it appeared, had become more than just a destination. It was a calling, a relentless force that beckoned Adam, drawing him deeper into its grasp, as if the very sands cradled secrets too profound for the human soul to comprehend. What unseen thread of fate had woven its way around Adam's heart, leading him to court death with such reckless abandon? As we ventured further into the desert's unforgiving terrain, the answers to these unsettling questions remained elusive, buried beneath the shifting dunes, waiting to surface with a force that could shatter the fragile semblance of reality we clung to. And as the winds of the desert whispered secrets only they could fathom, the enigma of Adam's journey into the abyss of mortality deepened, weaving an eerie tapestry of mystery and foreboding that would haunt our dreams long after the desert winds had ceased to howl. I was lost in my thoughts when Dina screamed with happiness. The mobile phone's signal returned, and she quickly dialed for emergency assistance. Within minutes, Adam was on his way to the hospital in the ambulance. The end. Written by Elham Ghoreishi.
Be sure to like our content and stay tuned by subscribing.